Hey guys, today we are looking at the area of a trapezoid. So these are the two formulas that you can use to find the area of a trapezoid. Now I want you to make sure that you understand that multiplying by 1/2 the height plus or times base 1 plus base 2 is the exact same as dividing by 2. That's why these formulas are the same. So go ahead, pause the video and take a look in your notebook and make sure you have both of them written down. Now let's get into the why this works. So the area of a trapezoid comes from the area of a parallelogram. Okay, we know that the area of a parallelogram is the base times the height. And remember, this slanty side over here could move over here to give us a rectangle. So really, it's base times height because it's the same as a rectangle. This time, we are looking at creating one of these parallelograms from a trapezoid. Now, the crazy thing is we can't just pull a piece off of a trapezoid and move it like we did with a parallelogram, because sometimes a trapezoid might look something like this. Okay, where you have a straight edge and it almost looks like a rectangle, but then all of a sudden you have this piece sticking out over here. So it's not parallel sides, so they don't always necessarily fit perfectly. So what we need to do is we first look at one trapezoid and we clone it. Okay, so over here we have an exact replica, it's just flipped over. And then we merge them into one giant parallelogram. Now, there's two trapezoids here. So that's why we have to cut it in half later or divide by 2, like you saw in the previous slide. Because really, we don't want both of these. We just want one. So when we merge them together like so, we have the base times the height. Okay, because it's again a parallelogram. But notice that the base is now both the top base and the bottom base. So it's this smaller side and this longer one put together and added. That's where this comes from. The height stays the same in the whole figure, so that's why we still multiply by the height. But then, to get rid of this piece, we have to cut it in half or divide by 2. Okay, so clone it, flip it, connect it, you get two trapezoids, which equals a parallelogram. So that's how we get the formula. Now, let's actually apply the formula. Okay, so we have to think I have two of these to make myself that parallelogram. I'm going to take it, flip it in my mind, and reconnect them. So over here we have 7 feet, and our height is still 8. So we have to add these together. That's why it's base 1 plus base 2. Remember, make sure you give the formula first. We're going to multiply these by the height and then cut it in half or divide by 2. Whatever you want to think. So my height is 8. And I'm multiplying that by 15 and 6/10 plus 7, and then I'm going to divide them all by 2. So I get 8 times 22 and 6/10, and I'm going to divide that by 2, but first I'm going to multiply up on top, and now I'm going to divide by 2, and I get 90 and 4/10, and these are feet squared. Okay, your turn. Go ahead and try this one. You don't have to draw it out, but I would at least sketch this piece. You don't have to draw the double where you make it into a parallelogram. So make sure you have your formula, whichever one you choose, either the 1/2 or the 2. I'm going to show the 1/2 this time. And then plug them in. Okay, so what you should have is 8 here, and then 14 plus 11 times 1/2. So 8 times, and this would be 25 times 1/2. So 8 times 25 gives you 200. Multiply that by 1/2, and we get 100 centimeters squared. Okay, so what if you don't know a missing piece? This is where it gets a little trickier. A trapezoid has an area of 108 square feet, okay? So we know that's the area. And the area is, the height times base 1 plus base 2 times 1/2. Okay, so we don't know the height, but we know 15 plus 12, and we know 1/2. We know 15 plus 12 gives us 27, so h times 27 times 1/2 equaling 108. So take 27 and cut it in half. When I do that, I get 13.5 times h is 13.5 h's, which equals 108. So now all I'm left to do is divide. This is 13.5, so 108 divided by 13.5 gives me 8 feet. And notice that it's not squared because the formula is only if you're finding area is it squared, right? Okay, we're going to skip this one and let's get to some hockey, okay? In the National Hockey League, a goaltender can play the puck behind the goal line only in that trapezoidal fashion that you see to the right. Okay, so we need to find the area in which that goaltender can still play the puck. All right, so the area is the height times the base 1 plus the base 2 and cut in half or times 1/2, whatever you want to think. Fill in your numbers and go ahead and try it. And I'll be back in just a second to show you what I did. Okay, hopefully you tried this one on your own first. If you didn't, this is your opportunity to be honest. Okay, so 11 times 46 is going to be my first step because I added the 18 and the 28. So I get 506 on top, cut that in half, and I get 253 feet squared as my final answer. Okay, so I'm going to give you a sneak preview of the Do Now tomorrow. I want you to try this one because there's going to be a little Do Now quiz. So hopefully you've been listening. If not, you might want to rewatch the video, and I will see you tomorrow. So make sure you try this problem because you're going to have it done right away when you walk in. Thanks, and see you next time.